what do you guys have for the playoffs? What are you looking forward to, and what do you think is going to happen as the playoffs start this weekend?
I guess I should start off again. Okay, well, first, let's just make some things clear. If Brooklyn ends in the 6th seed, right now they're the 5th seed. If they lose tonight and the Wizards win, Wizards get 5. And I kind of hope that happens because that means in the second round, the Bulls will end up playing Indiana, and the Heat will end up playing Brooklyn. That's, of course, if Brooklyn beats Toronto in the first round. That's the second round series I want to see because I think both Indiana and Miami both have chances of losing that series. I don't like looking at regular season matchups too much, but they do play a point. And also you got to look at teams that are hot and who are slumping. Even though this whole year we know that the East have sucked, if you look as of recent, Indiana and Miami have not played good basketball in a long time. And Chicago and Brooklyn are actually the two best teams in the East since January 1st. So, and Brooklyn beat Miami all 4 times they played this year. It's a very good chance that Brooklyn might beat Miami, and solely having Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce there is a big thing because we know that they have, taken LeBron out before and Wade both when they were, separate. And it was, 2 years ago they took them to Game 7 in Boston.
They should have had him in 6, but that's when LeBron had the 45 points on 75% shooting. And he didn't even play the fourth quarter.
And he's going to have to do that a lot this year because he can't count on Dwayne Wade at all. Last year, Dwayne Wade bailed him out too many times, and that crap was annoying me. It's not going to happen this year, so LeBron's going to have to play ball. But besides that, I could really care less about the East to that point. First round, everybody is good except Houston. Houston is losing in the first round to Portland. My boy Damian Lillard is taking them to the second round. Dwight Howard is going to lose in the first round again, and I'm just going to laugh at him. Ha, 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 ha. He's not getting out the first round. That's what you get for being a big crybaby. James Harden had a nice year this year, but too bad. He shouldn't have decided to play with Dwight. Now, conference finals. This is where it gets real interesting because, let's see, how does it – Chicago – if they lose tonight or if Toronto wins, they end with the 4th seed. If they play Indiana, they're taking them out. Indiana's going to lose in the second round. So, conference finals right now, I probably got to go with Miami versus Chicago, which means that Miami is going to win, which somehow they're going to get to their 4th straight finals. And I don't even saying that doesn't sound right. It seems like they don't deserve to get to the finals, but at the same time, I don't really know who's going to beat them. Indiana's the only team that, Brooklyn can, but I don't think Brooklyn will beat them. Indiana could beat them, but I don't think Indiana's going to get a chance to see them because I don't know what's been going on with them. Chicago, the way Chicago plays defense, is going to really cause some problems for Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana, that's been their problem is scoring the ball.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't really know what's going on with them. So Miami probably is going to come out the East, but they will not win the title. I have no idea who's going to beat them, though.
Well, it's who you got coming out of the West.
That's the problem. I have no idea who's going to beat them.
We're making you take a pick.
Okay.
Do you want to wait? Well, I'll go, and then we'll come back to you for your West. You can do that. Okay.
I'm not going to run away from this, okay?
All right.
Maybe Coach Wright is listening, and he's looking for a dude who's going to be a great playmaker next year, and he needs somebody who's not going to run away from the pressure. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to read this off. Okay. San Antonio, man. San Antonio in the second round. If Portland wins, they play Portland. San Antonio will win that. OKC will play the Clippers. Man, that's tough. Oklahoma City will win that. I really want to go with San Antonio, but I feel like Kevin Durant does not having that right now. I don't know. I feel like him and Russell Westbrook, even though they haven't necessarily played great since Russ has come back.
So you have San Antonio and OKC in the conference finals.
But I could go with either one of them winning. But, this is the crazy thing, and this kind of makes sense, but at the same time it doesn't. I said Miami's not going to repeat. If San Antonio plays the Heat again, San Antonio's going to win. I don't have any doubt about that. But if they play Oklahoma City, I feel like something in LeBron's head is not going to let them lose that series. I feel like just because it's Kevin Durant, he's not going to – he can't really –
Kevin Durant's almost like his little brother because, they're friends. Exactly. They work out together in the offseason.
And the thing is, he can't really guard Kevin Durant, but it's not like Kevin Durant can guard him either. And then it goes on role players. You know what? That's it. That's it right there. Miami does not have enough role players because Mike Miller is not there anymore, and they counted on him the last 2 years. So San Antonio or Oklahoma City is going to win the
You have to choose one.
I have to choose one?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody got a quarter? No, we ain't got no quarters in. Okay, can't flip a coin. Okay. Go around. I can't do this right now.
This is not Coach Wright is not happy with this.
Coach Wright, it's okay because I got fouled and then they had to review the play. So right now they're reviewing it and they'll come back to me.
All right, got it.
I'm having more difficulties on the East than the West, and who would have thought that? It's just with the positioning of Chicago and Brooklyn, because if it stays where it is, Miami's got a road straight to the finals. And hardly any of the games have been played. I am going to make a bold statement with Miami does not make it to the conference finals. Okay. I'm going to make a bold statement right now. I am going to have either Chicago go up to 3 or Brooklyn go down to 6. One of those two things happens. I'm hoping not. If both of them happen, that's even better. But one of those will happen. I saw Indiana play against OKC. I think they righted a little bit, not too much. I'm going to have Indiana versus... I'm gonna say Indiana versus Brooklyn, and I'm gonna have Indiana in the finals.
Okay.
And I am going to have OKC versus the Spurs, and Spurs go to the finals, and the Spurs win it, and Popovich goes out on top, and I see their players retire, a couple of them at least.
I vow two things. I will not watch a single minute of Eastern Conference playoff basketball because that's garbage. I'm sorry. I can't watch it. I might watch like a minute of the Bulls games. Maybe. And second one, I really want to stick with Indiana, but I can't. Like you said, Darius, the hot team, it's kind of like in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
The hot teams go far. So I think in the East I'm going to roll with the Heat. I think the Bulls might push them to 7 or Brooklyn, whoever they play. But I'm going to say it's Miami and Indiana in the conference finals, and I think the Heat win in 5, maybe 6. I don't think it goes 7. In the West, I think my Clippers pick is looking good because they play Golden State. Golden State without Bogut is huge.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because especially with the year you talked about, Matt, DeAndre Jordan is having, I think they're just going to pound the ball down low. I think
Blake Griffin too, is probably third place for the MVP if we're going LeBron, Durant, 1, 2.
Yeah, and maybe Harden in there too.
Yeah.
And
Noah can make a case as well.
I would have to say it's Clippers, Spurs. I don't think OKC's got the bench.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
I think that's going to be their downfall. I think the Clippers' bench is better in the second round. And I don't know. I think the Clippers break through. I think they get it done. And I think that they win it all. Ooh. I think they beat the Heat. I just don't think the fourth year, and I think the Clippers, again, are deeper than the Heat. Their bench has got Glenn Davis, Danny Granger, Matt Barnes starts, but just so many guys on that bench. So, and I think they're extremely well coached. I think they might be. If it comes down to the coaching battle, I think Doc Rivers obviously has the edge over Spoelstra.
Oh yeah. For me, I'll go conference finals. I have Pacers and Heat, obviously. As good as the Bulls are, and I think the Nets, I don't really think they'll give the Heat too much trouble. Maybe 6 games, maybe, should they face the Heat. I think the Bulls, ultimately, yes, they will give the Pacers trouble, but I think the Pacers take them out also in 6, maybe 7. The Bulls match up well with them, but as a Bulls fan, the biggest problem with the Bulls is without Derrick Rose, they can't score the ball. And specifically at the end of the game in the playoffs. This is why they've played the Heat so well, but why they've lost in 5 games is because at the end of the game, at least in 2011, LeBron took Rose out of the game. Derrick Rose cannot score when LeBron James guards him. So with Derrick Rose out of the game, whether it's LeBron on him or injury, who's going to score the ball if you need that bucket? The Heat have LeBron. The Pacers, I guess, have Paul George. The Spurs have multiple guys they can go to. Obviously, OKC has Durant and Westbrook. I'll get to that later. I think that's actually a problem there in OKC, but who do the Bulls have? And I think that's why they ultimately struggle in the playoffs with the team they have under, we'll call it the Tom Thibodeau era. I think that's why they've underachieved a bit in the playoffs. Obviously, the Derrick Rose injury, but even without that, I think that's ultimately why I can't pick the Bulls to upset either the Heat or the Pacers, depending on who they play. So I got Pacers and Heat in the conference finals, and we've seen it too much. The Pacers might match up well with the Heat, but we've seen two things. I think the Pacers will turn around and play better in the playoffs, but also we've seen the Heat the last 3 years they've been together is every year they've gone to the playoffs. I've heard the Heat are struggling. They haven't played the well as they should have. Then the playoffs start, and it's like a light switch. They turn into another gear. Specifically, I think it's Dwayne Wade who does it. I think this is his worst year. He doesn't have as much in the tank with injuries and age, but I still think he plays a role, and he can help them win. Him and LeBron can team up again, have like the 30, 25-point games we've seen from both of them, and they can kind of grind out a few wins. But the Heat just turned it on in the playoffs. I've never seen it before. I've never seen a team other than the Spurs, the Heat and the Spurs, who just can turn it on in the playoffs after just coasting through the regular season. So I think the Heat do that to an extent again this year, and that's why I got the Heat coming out of the East. I think it's a 7-game series over Indiana, and we've seen it too many times. We saw it last year in games 1 and 7, where LeBron put the team on his back. He went, as I call it, and I heard a couple people call it, the Cleveland days, where he does everything for him. I think he carries them out of the East there with a little bit of help of Wade. And Bosch has had a good year, but he's ineffective against Indiana. He can't contend with West or Hibbert. But I think LeBron gets him out of the East. And in the West, I have my conference finals being OKC and San Antonio. But my problem with OKC and with, I guess, Durant is we've seen it a lot this year and in the past was when the game is on the line, Westbrook does too much. Whereas I understand that's what he has to do, and that's what's good for the team. But at the same time, you have Kevin Durant standing next to you, one of the most clutch players, one of the best scorer in the NBA. And I think Westbrook's volume shooting hurts Durant. I've said it all year for just Durant in general. But at the end of the game, I've seen a couple games. I think one of them was when they played the Clippers. Westbrook took a couple just early shot clock threes, and that killed him. That took him out of the game when I would have liked to have at least see the ball in Durant's hands. There's times where Westbrook will just dribble up and pull, and the ball doesn't even touch Durant's hands. And I think that is why I can't go with OKC. It's what really hurt them in the finals against the Heat in 2012, other than James Harden just being a complete no-show. I just think Westbrook's shooting at the end of the game. Durant is too quiet when it comes to the ball, whereas he doesn't even have to shoot. You can pass, you can do dribble, kick out, do something, but the ball doesn't even touch his hands. I don't even think it's Durant's fault necessarily. I think it's Westbrook's mindset that can take them out of some games. He can win you a couple games, but in the playoffs, I think he loses them more games than he wins them. So that's why, as well as Popovich, and I think the Spurs are the best and most complete team in the NBA, I got to go with the Spurs coming out of the West in a rematch of the finals, and this time I'm going with the Spurs. They probably should have beat the Heat last year if it wasn't for that fourth quarter from LeBron in Game 6 where he outscored them like 16-12 in the fourth quarter, Game 6, then Ray Allen's 3. And then another Game 7 by LeBron where he buried him with the 35 points and 5 3-pointers, and then Duncan missing the 2 layups at the end. I don't think we see that again. The Spurs are too deep, too complete. They match up way too well with Miami. I got the Spurs in probably 6, maybe 7, but probably I'm going with San Antonio over Miami in 6 in the NBA Finals. And I think you see somebody like maybe Tim Duncan or Tony Parker get Finals MVP, and you see Tim Duncan, I guess, ride away into the sunset, if you will, to end his career. But that's what I got for the playoffs. That's what I'm seeing. I do think the East will be a little bit more interesting than a lot of people are saying. I'm kind of with you, Ryan, where you said the East are actually some of the tougher matchups. I agree with that. I think the East will be, I don't want to say more interesting. The West, I'm definitely going to be more excited to watch, but I think the East we might see some surprises out East. Maybe even, I don't think it's crazy, Darius, saying the Bulls will beat the Pacers. That'll definitely be a good series worth watching. But I think there could be some surprises out East. I would not be surprised if even if it's not a Pacers Heat conference finals. This year you don't know. With the way those two have been playing, we don't know. So yeah, I think don't sleep on the East necessarily. Though I do think ultimately the champion will be coming out of the West. But we'll see. It's definitely something worth watching. I think that's all we got for NBA.
Well, we still have to wait for Darius.
Oh. Yeah, sorry, Coach Wright. I forgot the play. Is the play done being reviewed?
Oh man, yeah. I'm just gonna talk about other stuff until I can figure it out. But yeah, I agree with you. Don't sleep on the East. Atlanta is the only team that I'm really not interested in watching. But 1 through 7, like even Charlotte, I want to see Charlotte in the playoffs because Al Jefferson and Kemba Walker have had good years. So they're not going to beat the Heat. If they end up with the 7th seed, they're not going to beat them, but they will challenge them. It might go 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think it might be an entertaining Bulls Heat 5-game series, where it's the entertaining 5-game series.
Like even the Wizards, I want to see what Wall and Bradley Beal are going to do. So I mean, this is the thing about the East, and this is why it's hard for me, to come up with a champion just overall. No matter who comes out the East, I don't really care. I don't have any of them winning, but the East, no matter who comes out, they're going to be banged up. Like, as far as it's going to be a rough series for anybody, no matter the road they take. And then when you look at the West, the Spurs have a very good team. They're very deep, a great coach, but they have Oklahoma City playing them. And Oklahoma City, Kevin Durant, when you have an elite superstar, it's hard to beat somebody like that in the playoffs. But the thing with Oklahoma City is they don't have a bench. And that's when it's kind of like, that's why it's hard for me to really pick who I have coming out the West.
Plus, I've seen OKC's played on national TV a lot. They give up that game against the Clippers where I think they won it, but they gave up like 130 points.
Yeah, and then they played the Spurs, and then they like killed the Spurs on TV. And that's why it's like you don't really know what you're going to get. And so it's hard for me to say this because I don't like saying stuff unless I'm like 100% confident in it. But I'm going to have to go with what you said. I got Spurs versus Heat in the finals, and the Spurs are going to take it this time. Now, I don't agree with Tim Duncan and all them leaving. I think they got another year after that. But Spurs, I think, is going to get the title this year.
Yeah, I think if there's anything we've seen from the past couple of years, I think experience can trump all, because that's what we've seen from Miami and San Antonio the past couple of years. I think a lot of these teams, like Indiana, doesn't have it. I don't think OKC necessarily has it as well. Same with the Clippers and those guys. Though I kind of wanted to say it, though, I could see Clippers, San Antonio in the conference finals. I like that pick a lot. I don't see them coming out of the West, but I see them in the conference finals. I like that pick, though. I do like that now that I think about it more.
Yeah, see, I don't like the Clippers because, first of all, they have too many players. They have too many. The bench is full of guys who are used to playing. They have too many. And Glenn Davis is 300 pounds, so I don't really care nothing about him. But in the playoffs, you got to have somebody who can get you a bucket. And Blake Griffin hasn't proved that. He had a great year.
Your boy, your MVP, Chris Paul.
Yeah, this is the thing I can't stand about Chris Paul. Same thing I can't stand about LeBron. Passes too much. Chris Paul, if he wants to, can put up 30 a game. He just basically, especially in a playoff series, he can do that. But he doesn't do it because he's passing to Blake Griffin as if Blake Griffin is Shaq. Blake Griffin cannot get you a guaranteed bucket. You play OKC. All you got to do, Serge Ibaka just got to pop him one time in the back of the head. Then Blake Griffin's going to get all emotional like he always does when they play the Thunder. And then that takes him out the series. DeAndre Jordan, yeah, he might be nice down low, but he can't shoot free throws, and he can't score if it's not off a dunk. So, that's why I don't really like the Clippers. All they have is guards. That's really all they have. And besides unless Jamal Crawford's going to have 40-point outbursts, I don't really see them doing anything. So they can have fun playing Dallas or Memphis. They can have fun playing Golden State, who they got to be careful with because Golden State won last year when we all thought they were done when they lost David Lee. But who knows? Steph is going to give them a little run for their money, but I see them getting out of that, but not out the second round for them.
I can't argue with the big baby Davis thing. I can't argue with the weight. I don't know if it's 300, but it's close.
I heard that he was trying to play himself, his weight down. That's what he was trying to do. Which is sad.
Is this rec league or the
NBA?
Exactly.
That's what I'm.
No, but I'm taking a chance on the Clippers. I just think they might, except for Pop. I think they got the best coach in the West.
Yeah.
I would say I'm just taking a chance on them. Just prove me wrong for once. Chris Paul, take over. Jamal Crawford, don't take stupid shots. Blake Griffin actually make a 15-footer. DeAndre Jordan actually make a back-to-the-basket move.
I would love to see Chris Paul just take off, though. It would be a perfect playoffs if Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, and LeBron just lit it up the whole play.
Yeah,
that would just be great.
None of them pass the ball.
Yeah, just everybody 45. If you watch one game, 45 next game, 42 next game. Everybody just light it up. But sadly, that's not going to happen. Besides maybe KD and LeBron when he's forced to.
Right.
When his back's against the wall.
Exactly.
Yeah. I do have to say, as a LeBron fan, nobody averages more points, not even Michael Jordan, in Game 7s or elimination games than LeBron James, which is my fun fact of the day.